So Nintendo Switch Online is finally here, and we've had a chance to play around with it for, I guess, almost a full day now, although, we did do some sleeping in that during that. We've already been posting a lot of videos about how the service works, what all you can do with it, how cloud saving works, how the NES games work online, as well as some other exclusive features to the 6.0 update, including the digital game sharing feature. So I figured it'd be good for us to finally get together and talk about our early impressions so far of how everything's working, and if it's been working well enough for us. And our overall thoughts on the service, and then we think it's, if it justifies the price. So, John, you've been making a ton of videos for us about it. How are you feeling on it? Because leading up to it, there was a lot of negativity. So I'm wondering if that's carried through to your final impression, or to your early impression so far, and just what do you think of it?
Well, maybe I'm in the honeymoon period, but I actually quite like what they've offered so far. I've played quite a lot of the NES games, and while not the entire selection is excellent, there are some duds in there, like Ice Climber, it's still incredibly fun to play like Super Mario Bros. 3 on the Switch whenever you want to. And the actual UI is so fast and snappy.
It is stupid fast.
Right, and you can literally go out of a game and into another one in mere seconds. I think it takes like 1 second to actually exit a game. And I do want them to expand it though, because obviously just NES games isn't the most exciting. But the service itself and the app, the service itself and the app are just really quick, and I think it could be something really special in the future.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm find myself surprisingly on the positive side in terms of my impressions of what they've added or offered so far. And I have to say, it starts with the Nintendo Switch Online app, which, as you said, John, I love the interface, and I also like the quality of the emulation. Like, I'd have to look at it side by side, but it does seem to me that what we're getting here is far superior to the Wii U Virtual Console, which, of course, now that's a low bar, but still, it's nice to see that the emulation quality we're getting here is up to snuff. And I have to say, Andre, when you and I went online and played last night for the video that you were uploading, it actually worked quite well. And I had initially played with Derek, and it was a disaster. But I think that had more to do with his own internet, because when you and I played, it actually worked surprisingly well. And I had a really good time playing things like Dr. Mario online, and even something like Yoshi, which I'm terrible at. I still appreciated that it worked well. Now, I will say that there was some input lag that I experienced in games like Super Mario Bros. 3 when we were playing online, but I gotta say, the whole thing just was more elegant and worked better than I expected it would.
Also, and then there's like the low latency mode as well, so even if there is trouble online, you can kind of try and sort it out. I was playing against Alex on Nintendo Live stream, and we played Super Mario Brothers, and on our first attempt, it was kind of laggy, maybe like a half-second input lag, which isn't ideal for a platformer. But then we turned on low latency, and all of a sudden it was fine. Like it was like playing it locally.
I'm pleasantly not disappointed.
Yeah, that's a really good way to say it.
And now keep in mind, I didn't have really any expectations for it. This was a pretty known. We pretty much knew everything going in. But overall, like, it's fine. It works. Like, when I first started playing the Nintendo Switch Online, I did a couple of test rounds with one of my friends, Matt, from Directbeat Games. Another YouTube channel, go check it out. And he lives on the exact opposite side of the country. He lives in Rhode Island. It's about as far away as you can get from where I'm at. That first test run was horrible. I had a similar experience what Ash had. It was pretty much unplayable. But then I tried it again, both with Ash, as Ash mentioned, and a couple other people, including Matt again, and it worked fine. Like, there's always that small amount of input delay that's noticeable, but overall, the actual online worked surprisingly well for me. And once you factor in all the other benefits of the Switch Online, you know what? I have to say, it seems to be a fair price.
And if you take into account that NES games were something like £5 on Wii U for just one of them, you're kind of getting your money's worth in that sense. I mean, obviously, I'd still like there to be more value in here. But compared to what we've had in the past, this really isn't that bad.
No, it isn't. I will say that I do really hope they add Super Nintendo games soon, just because, as cool as a lot of this, functionality is, going through the library of currently available Nintendo games, it's not amazing. There are some true gems in there, of course, like Super Mario Bros. 3, The Legend of Zelda, games like Gradius, things like that. But, things like Ice Climber, tennis, ice hockey,
Leave ice hockey alone.
It's not my thing personally, but, so I do hope that the library itself gets expanded soon. But I have to say, the quality of the online play that we've seen so far, just as a promise of what's to come, is really it's promising, as I said. It's really strong. Just, I can only imagine playing certain Super Nintendo games like this, and it gets me really excited.
Yeah, so you kind of touched on something there. So far we've been mostly talking about how it works as an infrastructure, and it seems to be pretty good. I think there's a novelty factor to playing these NES games online for what is practically the first time officially. And that's really cool. The problem is, at the end of the day, they're still NES games. They're games some of us have been playing for 30 years now, in various forms, going back to, of course, the original NES, then again, Animal Crossing on GameCube, then again on Virtual Console, multiple Virtual Consoles, and then again with the NES Classic. So while I liked how it played, I'm not sure if I'm going to be playing that much more of it, and that's why I think adding SNES games, Ash, would be huge, because I do want to play more of those games, especially online. Like Super Mario Kart, you get that baby online, I'm freaking there. So
well, you brought up something there, and this is kind of a segue, but something that I am utterly flabbergasted by and shocked by, because you mentioned Super Mario Kart Online, is the fact that I played Mario Kart 8 online this morning with random people in voice chat, which is, that alone might be the thing that sells me on Nintendo Switch Online, just because I am shocked that Nintendo is A, allowing that, and B, implementing it as well as it worked. Like, guys, I played 2 races of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe online with full voice chat with random people, which on PlayStation or Xbox, whatever, that wouldn't be a big deal.
No.
But this is on Nintendo Switch. When did Nintendo decide to allow their users to talk to strangers? Like, this is crazy.
That was a completely under-the-radar feature. They did not announce this at all. Like, why didn't they talk about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, they totally didn't. All they said that voice chat was coming, and because of the precedent of Splatoon 2 only working with friends, we just assumed that we wouldn't be able to talk with strangers at all. Right. So, yeah, this is so weird, and it is kind of a reason not to use Discord as well. Because obviously Discord is just with friends, whereas this is actually a reason to talk with strangers online. So yeah, it's so weird, and it actually works well. And I think all of us actually kind of got recognized online too.
Yeah, we did.
And so in the video you made, John, you instantly got recognized in the room, and then I hopped on myself to test it out, and right away some guy's like, "Oh, I love your videos, man."
Yeah, same exact thing happened to me in my room.
So I don't know if it's a little bit, if our experience is biased by that, but I have to say, on the few rounds I've tried, I've had an entirely pleasant experience, because online, things can get a little rough sometimes.
I think I was in different rooms, because I had many a curse.
Oh, did you? Okay, alright. Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, there's one person, though, who did say that they feel like they missed out on the whole Xbox Live train, because they always played on Nintendo systems. And this was kind of their first experience of voice chat, which was very strange for me. But I suppose that's probably true for many people who never really delved away from Nintendo. So it's kind of interesting in that sense.
Now, I will say, though, that as usual with Nintendo, it has been kind of implemented in a half-step way, in the sense that, yes, they have this for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and randomly they have it for ARMS, but not Splatoon 2. So you can't currently go and play like a random turf war or a salmon run in Splatoon 2 and talk with people. It's like strangers online. So for whatever reason, it works for 2 games, and also Mario Tennis Aces, but not for Splatoon 2, which is arguably, outside of Mario Kart, the biggest deal here. So I don't know why they wouldn't do that.
I can maybe see it because it already did support voice chat, but just for your team, right?
Right.
It's a team-based game, so I think that's their angle with it, perhaps.
Salmon Run stings, though. If you're playing Salmon Run with strangers,
that's a good point.
You want to communicate, because I've had so many matches where, like, I've been splattered by the enemies, and my teammates just on the other side of the map, and they're just not seeing me. It'd be so convenient just to say to them, like, please come resurrect me.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, I hadn't used the voice app since launch, because I thought, why would you ever want
Why
to?
would you?
Right.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by how much better it works now. I just turned on the app, then I started up a game, and it instantly brought me into that voice chat once it confirmed that I wanted to actually do voice chat. But it instantly found the game through the app. I had to do nothing, and that was nice. It was seamless.
Yeah.
Is there something to this?
I like it too when another person joins the chat, you get a Nintendo Switch notification at the top telling you they have.
Right.
So there's no need to just stare at your phone screen the entire time, because you are getting prompts on your actual Switch.
Well, also, too, I know that they fixed this a little while ago, but you don't have to have your phone on constantly, too, or you don't have to have the screen on. You can turn it off, whereas you had to with the initial 1.0 version of the app.
I gotta say, this isn't a format that's going to apply to everybody, but everything you just said applies, Andre. Like, you can have the screen go off and go dark and it still works. And I'm using an iPhone, and I have a pair of AirPods, and I was using that to have the audio from the chat go directly into my ears through my AirPods, and then I was just chatting naturally, and everyone in the room said they could hear me just fine. So those of you out there with a pair of wireless earbuds, that's an even better way to utilize this, which, again, I can't believe I'm actually saying something positive and exciting about the Switch Online app, but...
Oh, I can already tell you, we're going to get a ton of comments saying we're Nintendo apologists, like we've
but
been
it
paid
works.
off.
I don't know what people want. It works really well.
No, I will say, I wish everyone did what you did, Ash, with the headphones, because one problem with it being phone-based is that a lot of people, I think, aren't using headphones, myself included. I was just testing on the phone, which meant you're getting a lot of echo through the app, a lot of feedback from the game itself, where you can hear Mario Kart coming through from like 3 other people's screens, which was a little bit annoying. But I could still hear everyone pretty well. So yeah, I was impressed by that, and there were a couple cases where there was audio coming through someone who wasn't talking at all. So I just muted them. I just tapped on their icon, muted them, and it was a really seamless process once again. So if someone's just being a dick, just mute them by tapping them. So.
Yeah, it's super easy. Yeah, because I was testing that out too, just to see what would happen if you tap on somebody's name. And yeah, you can just mute or report, which is, I mean, that's a really easy way to do both of those things.
So it feels weird to be actually talking positively about the Nintendo Voice app. I mean, I can't say for sure I'm going to keep using it, but I sure have way more incentive now that it works with strangers and actually seems to work pretty well. And once you add the headset, Ash, I mean, there really functionally is no different than using it on a console, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically exactly it. I mean, I've got the audio going directly into my ears, and I'm chatting just by talking. So it really is the same exact thing. And I mean, I can't imagine why I wouldn't use this going forward, at least when I'm playing something like Mario Kart 8 Online, or if they ever add support for it, Splatoon 2. Like, you know, now, of course, I might use it and I might end up in a crappy room where people are just going crazy and using racial slurs, and that might put me off of it. But until then, why wouldn't I use this going forward if it works as well as it does?
Mm-hmm. Though, my one concern at the moment is it's only Nintendo first-party games that currently support it. So it's just Mario Kart 8, ARMS, Mario Tennis Aces, Splatoon 2, and I kind of want other games to support it too, like Rocket League or even
Street
like
Fighter
Dark Souls.
30th Anniversary Collection would be a great one.
Oh, that'd be so good, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably going to happen in the future, because most third-party games support cloud saving, so I guess it's probably a matter of time. And I think Diablo 3 has already confirmed to use the app as well. But, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's something that's necessarily for the entire system. It still kind of feels a bit inclusive in terms of software.
No, I hear you, although I think that once Smash comes out, and presumably that's supported as well, I think some of those concerns are going to go out the window just because of Smash. But no, I do hear you. It does seem like it's only going to be played close to their chest right now with certain first-party games, and I would like to see that expanded to various other offerings as well.
Let's go and move on to a few other features of Nintendo Switch Online, or at least another feature being cloud saving. So this adds the ability for the Switch to automatically, presumably, or supposedly I should say, back up all your save files. So if something happens to your Switch, like it gets lost, stolen, or broken, you can just download all your saves, or most of them, as some games aren't supported, and you can just resume wherever you left off at. And that's a pretty big deal. A lot of people were wanting that, because up to this point, like if your Switch broke, you were screwed. You could not get your saves back. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask if you guys had much chance to play around with it, because right now, again, the Switch is supposed to upload your saves automatically, but you can also do it manually as well, just by selecting a game title, pressing plus, and then going down to cloud saves. You can manually back it up, and it seemed to be a pretty easy process. So I did that for a couple of saves, but not all of them. But I wanted to see if the Switch was going to back up the others, and right now it backed up at least one of them. But I've got several games on there that haven't been backed up yet, and I've had this Switch Online now for since last night. So I don't know if they're just like rolling out slowly since everyone would be uploading at the same time, or I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I'm hoping it starts backing those up soon. So
it could just be server load, like the initial people, like everyone signing up and trying to get their subscription. So it could be that, but I personally have not tried that yet. That I plan to go do that after our discussion and see if anything has been archived automatically. But I'm kind of like of two minds on this, because yes, it's great that this feature's finally here, but there are already games that we know don't support it or will not support it, and that's kind of deflating in terms of like Pokemon Let's Go or other such games. Just already knowing that, okay, even despite the fact that you have the subscription, if you lose your Switch or if something happens to your save data, you're still screwed, and that kind of sucks. Knowing that,
I was going through my cloud save list, and I noticed that the ones that are backed up automatically are the ones that I've played recently. So, Derek and I, when we were testing out the game sharing, I played Ikaruga while he was playing on my account on his system too. He was playing Ikaruga as well. And on my list, Ikaruga is backed up. So I wonder if it backs up automatically once you've played the game.
That could be.
That would make a lot of sense, because your save file is presumably being affected, so that
Right.
would make a ton of sense for that to happen.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But the first thing I did when I got my subscription, the first thing I did was back up Breath of the Wild, because that's my most played game. Can't have that going anywhere.
Oh man, I gotta get my dad this service, because he's got 1,000 hours he needs to back up. So
Yeah.
There were a couple other new features added in the 6.0 update. This is separate from the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, although some of it kind of interplays, but you don't need Nintendo Switch Online to take advantage of these other features. But among them is the biggest feature is new Captain Toad avatar icons. Hell yeah! Then they also tweaked the ability to use social media. So now instead of just posting a single screenshot or video at a time, you can now upload up to 4, I believe, which is handy. Just make things a little bit easier. And then finally, the biggest deal here, which Nintendo made the smallest deal about, is you can now do what everyone's calling digital game sharing. Basically, what this means is you can now sign into your own Nintendo account on someone else's Switch and access your entire eShop libraries. Anything you bought on the eShop, you can now play on someone else's Switch, which is super useful. And what that also means is you could have your friend, for instance, use your account while you're not even at their house and access your same games even while you're using them yourself, or even if you're not at their house. So that's a pretty big feature. That's a pretty big deal. What do you guys think about it?
I think it's really funny that Nintendo is acting like this is not a big deal. Like we wouldn't even know about this unless there was serious investigation going on. I mean, we'd know that the feature is there, but not that it allows everything that it allows. And it's really hard to say how much of this was even intentional by Nintendo, but for us personally, this is a game changer just because of how review copies will work now. With Smash Brothers coming out soon, I mean, if we only get one copy, we can still all take turns and get some impressions of the game prior to launch, which is, fantastic for groupthink, group discussions, things like that. So for us, it's a game changer. I don't know how widely it'll be used by the layperson, but it's still really, really nice that they're even thinking about this. Like, it's just, I'm still kind of just not used to the fact that Nintendo's allowing, again, this game, like digital game sharing and random voice chat with strangers online. Like, this is a new Nintendo that we're seeing here.
Yeah.
It's not just more impressions from us, it's also more coverage. Like, one person's reviewing Smash Ultimate, another person can be compiling, all the Pokeballs that are in that game.
Right.
So you can do so much with this, and it really, as you said, Ash, it really is a game changer for us. And I guess it's also a game changer for most people too, because you're literally lending digital copies, which has always been an argument against physical versus digital, so that's just really awesome.
It is. It finally brings it up to parity with the other consoles, which is always a good thing. So that should be most of the big features out of the way, but let me circle back real quick to the NES games, because I wanted to just bring up a few other points that we didn't touch on before. I don't think we did, at least. And that is, again, I think as Ash did touch on, the UI in general, or John, both of you probably, the UI in general is really good. I love how fast it is. It's super snappy switching games to the point where the game is actually playing before it even fills your screen, which is kind of funny. And I also like the little touches they added when you're playing online, how you can use a cursor and point to things for your friend to see.
It's such a troll though, because you can either point or you can clap, and no one's going to use that clapping for anything helpful.
Oh yeah,
Not at all.
I wasn't just abusing it. Oh, Ash, did you see all the false praise I was giving you yesterday?
Oh, totally. We were doing it to each other. Every time one of us would die or lose, we would clap for the other person. It was hilarious.
Or even in Mario 3, anytime you jumped over a Goomba or a warp pipe or did anything. I applauded you.
Yeah, there's no way that's ever going to be used as intended. But that's part of the fun, right?
Yeah, it totally is. You can even obscure things on the screen so they can't see projectiles or something.
Yeah.
Did you see too, Ash, that if you double click the applause button, if you click on the stick, it does a whistle sound too?
No, I was wondering how you were doing that. So that's how you have to double click in the stick. Okay,
just double click.
That's awesome. That's such a a Nintendo kind of thing that just they throw in there without really even talking about it. Like, hey, you can do this too.
It really is. So I do have two main drawbacks of this beyond it just being NES games, which again I don't know how long the novelty is going to last for. But drawback number one is you can't change the controls.
Yeah.
So the default A and B button mapping feels wrong on a diamond-shaped button pad to me. Because I always want to play Mario, like Mario 3, like I would Mario World, with Y being run and B being jump. You can't do that. They need to fix that.
Yeah. Even Wii U had that. Wii U allowed you to customize your controls. Here we are with Switch. It's so weird.
It is weird.
And that seems like the most obvious thing to include, like button mapping. Why would that not be included in this? That just seems so, like, such a no-brainer.
Well, if you buy their limited edition NES controllers, then you get that layout.
Yeah.
That's it. That would solve the issue.
Yeah.
Sneaky Nintendo. Another control-related issue is the fact that the controls are always on the screen. They're always there at the bottom. You can't turn them off. There's no proper full border to get rid of them. There's no other border options at all. I hope they fix that too. Like, I want a proper black border. I don't need anything else. It's gonna be a proper black border with no controls on the screen.
Yeah, I would prefer that too. Having the controls there all the time is kind of distracting, and I noticed that too. On the other hand, on the flip side, I will say that the different screen size and filter options they offer are quite nice. They just need to be flanked by other quality of life options like button mapping and such.
So I think that really does cover most of it now. So I wanted to get your guys' more in-depth impressions on what you think of the value of the services now. So overall, we all seem to be somewhat pleasantly not disappointed by it. So do you think this is a fair value? Of course, the value does fluctuate depending on how exactly you're paying for it. If you buy a whole year in advance, it's only $20, and then you can also buy the family plan, which I believe is $40, which you can split up among 8 people in total, which drastically reduces how much you're paying for it. But let's assume, for the sake of this discussion, that most people are going to be buying a year by themselves, $20 a year. Do you think what you've seen so far, does it validate that price?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like you said, everyone's going to get different amounts of use out of this in different ways. But I mean, look, there's always going to be the crowd that is upset that Nintendo's charging anything at all because they're used to having some of this for free, and I get that. But at the same time, Nintendo needs to pay to keep servers running, and it makes sense that they are charging at least a bit of a premium price for basic online play. And if the quality of the online play itself isn't going to be made any better than it has been in the past, then yes, I think $20 a year for decent online play, as well as surprisingly good online voice chat features, surprisingly, I think $20 a year for that is perfectly fair. That's not that much, and I'm in the camp that understands why Nintendo needs to charge for this in a premium way. And I think compared to $60 a year for the competition, yeah, their online play might be better, have more features, things like that. But it makes sense that we're getting this for a third of the price, and I would say it probably has about a third of the features, and maybe the quality of the online play is about a third as good. But it's enough, it's good enough that I think $20 a year is a fair price, sure.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I also think Virtual Console just doesn't really work anymore. If you look at the Wii U and 3DS charts, the big sellers are the big Nintendo games, so like Super Mario Brothers and Earthbound did surprisingly well, but that's a different story. But generally speaking, most Virtual Console games just didn't really sell. And I think for a long time people have been saying they should go the Netflix route, and now they are. And maybe they need to expand upon it more, but I think they are taking the right route. And I mean, even Ash and I are about to buy Sonic 1, the Sega Ages version, which is something like £6 to £7, which is like half the price of this service. So for those big games, they do add up in price. And like I've bought versus Super Mario Brothers and versus Mario Bros. And all those games, and just those Arcade Archives games have added up to the price of this service. So I think it definitely is getting your money's worth, and it is the right direction. They just need to expand upon it a bit more.
I guess my next question for you guys, though, is what do you want from the service moving forward? What other features would you like to see added to it that could add even more value to what we're paying?
So, I want Contra. When I think of online NES games, I don't necessarily think of Ice Climber, but I do think Contra. I love playing Contra online. So that's my go-to game to add to the online service. But as for like brand new features, They've kind of got most of it covered. But I would like to see some form of maybe achievements. I'm not a huge achievement guy, but I know people are out there. And it'd just be a really interesting thing to add to a bunch of Switch games. And it might even be like good replay value for Breath of the Wild, because if you've gone out there and done all the side quests and found most of the Korok seeds, why not have some other form of objective in there?
I think that's fair. Personally, the game I would like to see added to the service is Marble Madness, because there aren't that many NES games you can think of that are two-player that might be fun to play online, but Marble Madness is one of them that I think would be. Now, of course, the chances of that specific game getting added are like next to zero, but I do think it would be cool. As for other features, I gotta say, I would really just be happy with expanded cloud saving. Like, I don't like the idea that some games are just not going to support it. I would like to have that across every game. But more than that, I just would kind of like to see the online play itself get a little better. And this may actually bear out. Like, we've only had this service for a day. I only played 2 races of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe online this morning. I mean, we may see going forward that we're getting less communication errors, less drop connections, things like that. And personally, that's what I'd like to see out of this service, period, is just kind of an across-the-board improvement in the, base level of Nintendo's online play. And so far, so good. I mean, I haven't gotten any. I did get a comm error last night when I was playing with Derek for the NES Online stuff, but again, we do think that was specifically his connection. So, just for me, I think now that we're paying for it, even if I did say I think it is a fair price as it stands, and I do, I would like to see Nintendo put a little effort into just improving their baseline online play.
Sort of on the same page of that. I would like to see. I'm not even sure it's possible. But it'd be interesting to see if they do some kind of streaming with this, like maybe Twitch support, because obviously Switch can record video. I don't know if it's possible to even stream with it, but if it is, it'd be really cool to have some kind of Twitch or YouTube support where you can just sort of stream from your console like you can on PS4 and Xbox One. And I believe most of Switch's video recording is done off-chip, so it'd be very interesting to see if that is possible, but it's something I'd love to see as part of the subscription service.
And, even without streaming, I would just like to see straight-up video recording and straight to your YouTube account. Like, even if streaming I would love as well, but I'm thinking of something along the lines of what they had in Smash Wii U, but way better YouTube support. Like, obviously that was just the minimum level of YouTube support you could have in that game, but I would love to see Nintendo fully embrace YouTube within the Switch UI and allow you to upload gameplay footage directly to your account. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. So the things that I'd want to see from this is, as you guys kind of touched on, better online. I think dedicated servers of some games would be nice. Then SNES games would be nice, because I would play those far more than I will the NES library. And then finally, I think they should add the ability to send friend invites, or simple messages even, like asking someone if you want to, just to set up a game. So what would be kind of cool, actually, I think, is now that we have the Nintendo voice app actually working pretty decently, what would be cool is if you could record the message through that, send it to your friend, they could listen to it on their Switch, and they could just instantly ask them, like, hey, you want to play Mario Kart soon or something? And they can just join you right away if they want.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
I don't know how we got through all of this without actually mentioning messaging, because that is such a huge part of communication.
It is, right?
I know.
You can't even do it in the app.
Yeah, that is kind of funny, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think maybe we just, as Nintendo users, we've probably gotten so used to having to do workarounds for messaging that we just don't even think about it anymore. But I do agree that some sort of in UI or in software messaging would be really nice.
And with that, I think we're pretty much done here. So it sounds like we're all overall pretty much in agreement that while the service itself may not be super exciting, that doesn't make it a bad value. For $20 a year, Nintendo is adding some useful features here, such as cloud saving, as well as features we didn't expect, like being able to talk to strangers in Nintendo games online, which is useful and something I didn't see coming, and also the fact that the app isn't terrible anymore, so it has that going for it. But yeah, with that, I think we're about done here, so thanks for watching, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for lots more on Nintendo Switch Online, and everything else Nintendo Switch as well. We'll catch you later. Bye.